shooting down in the woods. He wouldn't leave it even if he could. 'Cause life is good, yeah!
Hickok45, your internet shooting companion, coming to you from the beautiful hills of Middle Tennessee. Yes, the home of Alvin York and Dolly Parton, and a great number of patriots, and was lucky enough to hang out with more of them on February the 8th, as you might have seen. Yes, the second rally we've had in a couple, 3 weeks. That was pretty cool, getting to see so many people out there supporting the Second Amendment. And of course, the crowds were not as large on February the 8th. And it was cold and damp, but some really hardy souls were out there. And it was a great opportunity again to, just support the Second Amendment and hang out with people who support the Second Amendment in a big way, because they were there. What else can I say? I realize a lot of people just can't be there, regardless of how badly they'd like to be there. I would guess a lot more than a couple of hundred could be there, of course. So, whenever you're, I don't know, what would you say, very, very proactive in any sort of endeavor group, and you have another 100, 200, 300, however many like-minded folks with you, that's cool. That can't be bad, can it? So several things accomplished in those. I think we're sending a message. We have sent a message by meeting at every state capital, essentially, in the country, a couple of times now. It doesn't get wide spread coverage, of course, in national news outlets, but it gets coverage here and there. And you have to remember, that is old media. We're getting lots of coverage in new media. We have to remember that, don't we? But we're getting something accomplished, I think. And I don't know how many more of these that we need to have, and at what point, what date, and just where we go from here. I'm not sure. I might talk about that a little bit. But anyway, we had a good Friday. That was pretty nice. It was good to see the people there. Got to meet some more viewers I had not met. Some drove a long way, and I enjoyed spending some time chatting with some of those folks. So, but anyway, I'm out here in the reloading room again. A little bit chilly. I've got the heater on, and just going to sit here and gab a little bit with you. How's that? I have to say, I enjoy these little chats that we have. Just you, me, here in the reloading room. Very quaint. Small group of us just sitting here, chatting, listening. Kind of fun. Before I go too far, I wanted to mention one thing. I know there's been comments made about the direction of YouTube and all of that, and it's all conjecture, I guess. Nobody knows for sure. There's some pretty scary rumors around that have floated over the last few months about, I'd say few months probably, since the Connecticut shooting, about what YouTube could do, Google might do, and all that sort of thing. And I know people are taking some precautions, whatever you can do. There's nothing really out there like YouTube that that does what YouTube does for shooting videos or anything else, where you can kind of fund your project and all that sort of thing. But just a note on, I don't know what's going to happen, if anything, and I'll stay in touch with you. If something happens, we will take a different course, and hopefully you follow us on Twitter. We'll stay in touch with you and let you know where the videos will be and where future videos would be, and what we would be doing. So one of the things we've been able to do over the years, because of the AdSense, the Google and the way it works, just because of so many views, we've been able to pretty much, fund whatever we want to fund, and ammo, even when it gets expensive and all that sort of thing. And the first year we did this, I had a donate button up on the channel, and as soon as we started funding the ammo and didn't need any revenue to fund our ammo habit, I took that down. I just didn't feel right taking donations. We did get a few donations while I had that up there, but I took that down. And people, every now and then will say, "Why don't you put up a donate button? Why don't you put up a donate button?" Well, we did. We had one, but now we let Google donate and add. So anyway, it could be whatever would happen. We'd have to go back to that or whatever it might have. We just don't know what the direction would be and exactly right now. But just stay in touch. We will. I think the Hickok45 name is big enough now, and we've got the Twitter and everything, so not going to get lost. So just if something were to happen, we would stay in touch through Twitter and let you know what the plans are, and hopefully you will stay in touch with us. But again, I don't mean to be an alarmist. Just never know in today's world, do you? What's going on and what's going to happen. Because there are so many people who live their lives based on emotion and what's politically correct, to the extent that they feel like they're doing the right thing by distancing themselves from those evil firearms people. Who knows? Who knows? I'm not going to criticize Google or YouTube, though. I'm just kind of talking realities here. But I have no personal information or factual information, reasons to think that YouTube or Google is going to do anything. I mean, it could happen tonight, tomorrow, you never know, but I'm hoping they will continue their stance for the First Amendment and allow almost any sort of video out there to run, whether it's about firearms or building fires or car crashes or whatever it might be. So anyway, enough on that. Just follow me on Twitter. I don't think Twitter's going to eliminate gun people. Hopefully, you never know, do you? What else is going on? Well, let's see. What have we been doing? Wow, been busy. Some interesting guns I've been playing with lately, I'll tell you that. Borrowed an SD9 VE from Smith & Wesson, so we'll post that up here before too long. Pretty interesting little pistol. That thing is an outgrowth. I shouldn't say Sigma, but I guess the Sigma evolved into a better Sigma at some point. And then that thing evolved into this SD9 or SD40 VE, which is not a bad little pistol. I know they're not very expensive, and people aren't maybe beating the bushes to get them if they're interested in a Glock. But I tell you, you could do worse. I shot the thing as much as I could with the 9mm ammo I had. And not bad, I'll have to say. Good little defensive pistol. Don't know if it'd hold up to 20,000 rounds or anything, but I don't exactly have 20,000 rounds of 9mm to test it. But you could really do worse. Of course, right now you might not be able to find one, but I remember when they were on the shelves and some pretty reasonable prices. So things get back to normal. Might be something you want to take a look at. If you're looking for a budget, 9mm or 40, rather than pay a couple $100 for a really low-end pistol of some sort that people might laugh at you for having or carrying. I won't mention any names. That little pistol for another $100-$150 ain't bad. It is not bad. As far as an economy model and a 9mm, I don't know what I would go with before that one. I really don't. That might be my choice. So just a little word on that. You'll see a video on that before too long. Oh, and speaking of firearms, Guess what I have out here today? Oh man, I wish you could see it. And you have seen it. See if you can tell what this is. Oh, that familiar sound. Yeah, many of you already know. Colt Single Action. Happen to have the 4 3/4 inch, 3rd generation. Not the antique, but wow. Colt Single Action Army. Doesn't get much better. It just doesn't get much better. That is a beautiful firearm. Color case hardened frame, blue barrel and frame. It's or backstrap and trigger guard and color case hardening on the actual frame. Such a jewel. 45 caliber. I'll tell you, it just it just doesn't get much better. If you've never held one of these and fired it, you're missing out on something big time. Let's cock it again. Oh yeah. Let's open up the gate. Spin that thing. Half cock. Is that a beautiful sound or what? Cock it on back and down. In case you don't know yet, if you're brand new, you always bring the hammer all the way back before you let it down. Okay. Colt Single Action. Whew, man. I tell you, if you're just sort of into firearms for the first time and you've got your, carry gun or two and a shotgun, and there's other things you really want to try, and you're anxious to just experience all the firearms you can. There's two extreme ends of the spectrum, I guess you could say, and I'm not sure which is better. Maybe on one end of that spectrum you've got a fully automatic, select fire Thompson, things like that you'd love to fire. That's your dream, that's your fantasy. On the other end, going back a few decades and centuries, maybe a percussion revolver or a Colt Single Action 45 Colt, So you got those two different extremes. You'd like to experience both at some point. Right now you're just getting into firearms and you want to get you a good pistol, a good defensive gun, and maybe a good shotgun, and you're just kind of working towards some other things. Hopefully at some point you'll get to experience both ends there. And it might be easier, and it is just as interesting to go back and pick up a Colt Single Action or a good replica of a Colt Single Action. Ruger makes some really nice ones. Birdie, there's lots of companies that make the clones. For those who don't know, the Colt clones are exactly that. They're a clone in terms of the action. Same thing. The only difference is in, maybe some of the handwork or the appearance. Not a lot of difference, really. You always assume and hope you're getting a little bit better product with a Colt. These darn things sell for around $1,300, $1,400, $1,500. Even new 3rd generation ones or more. And you can get a clone for about $5 in that neighborhood. But they're the same. The old action. You cock the hammer halfway back, and that is how you release the cylinder in order to load it. It turns the cylinder, or you can turn the cylinder with your hand so that you can load it or unload it when it's on half cock. That's what I'm trying to say. And you generally just want to load 5 and lower the hammer down on an empty chamber, okay, because it doesn't have all those newer safety devices built in. Many a cowboy got that hammer caught on a spur or something, or a stirrup, and or just dropped it, and the thing went off, with that hammer resting on a live round. So the Colts and the Colt clones are exactly that. Then you have a newer generation, the Rugers, for example, and there are others. Maybe the Beretta. There's so many of them now made that I don't really even keep up with them. But the Rugers, for example, they came out with a Vaquero. Originally, it was big. It was bigger built gun really than the Colt clones. Then they came out with the what's it called, the Cowboy. or was that Colt? No, that was Colt that came out with they called it the Cowboy. It was a low-end, inexpensive single action. I don't know if they still make that or not. But then Ruger downsized the Vaquero. And now this was several years ago. This isn't like yesterday. Time flies when you're having fun. This may have been 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago. I don't know. They downsized the Vaquero to the size of the Colt. It was just bigger. And for that reason, it didn't seem as realistic to me. I had several of them, competed with them for a while when I got into cowboy shooting. And, of course, they're heavier, and they would really absorb the recoil, and they're built like tanks for sure. But I was glad to see them reduce the size of that, because the one they have out there now, maybe it's called the new Vaquero, and it's probably any of them you see in the shop. I don't think they make the original, the bigger one anymore. They made, I just don't know it. But the ones you see now for sale are more like the size of the Colt. You glance at them on a shelf and you can't tell the difference quickly. So whereas before you could see just by the size. And those have a firing pin block and a different kind of action where you can load 6 and the hammer's blocked and you don't have all those issues, that kind of thing. So it's a trade-off. Just if you want something more authentic, you go with a Colt or a Colt clone. If you want something that is pretty authentic and actually probably built better and would withstand more rough treatment and more shots fired and everything else, and maybe safer, quote unquote, then the Ruger is the way to go. It's not, a Colt or Colt clone. It's not built the same way internally, and just doesn't come apart the same way and everything. But especially the newer ones, they look more like the Colt, and they're more like it in size and feel and everything. So it's just a trade-off. You got to look at all that and decide what you want. But they're all nice. They're all nice. It doesn't have to be a Colt. It can be a Colt clone. It can be Uberti. It can be a Ruger, a Vaquero. When you pick that thing up, it takes you back into history. It really does. They're all just really sweet, fun to shoot. Something I hope that you do experience if you're a shooter. All these hot shots, semi-automatic pistols are great, but there's something special about these. It's just like a lever gun. Yeah, the lever gun is in the same category. There's just something special about those things. And it's easy to see a true, what should I say, shooting enthusiast. I really do mean, you got to be a shooter to understand this, but I'm going to use the phrase I shouldn't use, gun nut. I use that affectionately, and to people in the gun community, there's another meaning of that, and it is like me. I'm nutty about all sorts of firearms. I guess it's a phrase that might describe someone who is really into firearms and thoroughly appreciates all sorts of them. I guess I'd fall into that category. So, gun nut is generally a negative term, but I mean, I really am, and I can spot someone like that even if they've never held a single action or a lever gun. They talk about wanting one, and they hold one of mine, and boy, you can just see that look in their eyes. That there's no hope for them. They're like me. They're lost. They're a lost case, man. But there are a lot of people that fall into a different category on that spectrum. They're somewhere in the middle, not quite as far out there on the edge, not a lost cause. They like the modern firearms mainly, and have no real interest in these things. But that's not me. I like all these things, and they're all fun, interesting to take apart and shoot. And I guess I maybe told the story before. It's one reason I've never been a threat to Rob Leatham, in the competition circuit. Not that I would have been anyway, but I got pretty fast at one point and was practicing pretty hard, but I could just never take it to the next level because, I don't know, standing around those shooting ranges all day Saturday and all day Sunday, I did that for a couple of years. I just missed my lever guns. I missed my own shooting range and plinking it with stuff and all the cool guns that I had and that was buying, and just could not spend the time trying to carve off another, quarter of a second on my draw or on my Mozambique drill or whatever it was. I just couldn't. Or running from one box to the next and shooting around a barricade. Working and working and working at making my stops smoother and reloads from behind that barricade smoother, shaving off a tenth of a second, a quarter of a second, and so that I could improve my score and get up to grandmaster or grand master class and that kind of thing. I didn't have the interest in doing that. And there were people who did, and they just didn't have the interest in the wide variety of firearms I do and the types of shooting. So anyway, that's my excuse for being a failure at competition. Actually, I wasn't a failure. I won a lot of matches and locally, and placed high in some regional matches, and won a lot. I don't know, what was it, 6, 7? I lost track of the guns. I did. I won several guns and in matches and state matches and things, and I think I've talked about that. Having that first Springfield 1911, I won. I guess it was 89 or 90. That I still have it, and you could have knocked me over with a feather. I mean, wow! I thought I was somebody when I actually won a gun in a match. But anyway, I digress. I just like all these old guns and these new guns. If it's a suppressor, that's fun too. If it's a select fire, that's fun. I want to shoot a Browning, BMG, up at Knob Creek one of these times. If I ever get up there and there's not a flood or the line's not too long, and just that's one of the firearms I've not fired. And fired Thompsons up there and M16s. What else? AK-47s, and I mean real ones, full auto and all that. And that's all cool. So I guess that's a sign of a true gun nut. Just you and me talking here. We will try not to use that phrase in videos too much, but you know what I mean. Some of you can relate, definitely, right? You may just have 2 guns in your collection right now, but you know who you are, don't you? You know if you're one of us. You know if you're one of those people. If you're one of me, that you would love to have a single action right now, and a MP5 and an Uzi and a lever gun, a pump shotgun, and whatever, a KSG2. If you're one of those, that you just enjoy them all. So I don't know, whatever that's worth. Just some more rambling about my interest in firearms, and I'm sure that many of you can relate to that that addiction, right? Ain't technology wonderful? I know I've mentioned this before. Here I sit amongst all my reloading equipment and trash or clutter, just yakking into this box. And, this time tomorrow or the next day, you're sitting in Alaska or Japan trying to interpret it, right? But you're sitting somewhere else on the planet listening to my yakking. I don't know. It's just technology and all that, and of course what's happened with our channel, which is also, of course, what makes it possible. So many people, watching and listening. It's really weird. It really is. I guess I don't still take it too seriously. Maybe I should take it more seriously and worry about it a little bit more, and what I say and what I do, but I really don't look at it any differently hardly than when we first started. I think we've tightened up our videos a little bit, and I've just gotten a little bit better, maybe a little bit more comfortable in front of the camera and that sort of thing. But try not to bore people as much. When I look back at some of the early videos, I do express a little pain at having to sit through if I have to watch one for too long. Sometimes those early ones, but by and large, just doing the same thing and relaxed and not really worrying about what I say if it doesn't come out exactly right. I get a little tongue twisted or that kind of thing, and that's what's made it so much fun, because I can just be myself and talk to you, whether it's in a video or sitting here in the ballistically intense room, you could say. how many different calibers do I see, brass and bullets, without moving my head? 43 probably. But that's what makes it cool. That's what makes it cool, and we're glad it's so well received and has been, and that there's so many of you out there. But we don't take it for granted. We don't want to start boring you all of a sudden. But we are going to do what we do and continue to be myself, such as I am. I'm sorry. One thing I wanted to talk about a little bit, I had on a note here, is the rallies. And I'm not sure what all I want to say about the rallies. I'll probably step in it again here, or step in it. I guess I don't step in it too often. Anything you say, you step in it for some people, right? Some folks are just not going to like what you have to say or what you're doing. But if you're a shooter and you really enjoy firearms, you're accustomed to that, or you better get accustomed to it. There are going to be people that hate you for liking firearms. It's that simple. I mean, it's not, and percentage-wise, it's not that many. It doesn't matter. There are lots of friends out there. You definitely have millions of brothers, sisters, friends in the firearms community. But there are those outside the community that haven't had the experience, that, it's in their best interest to hate you and hate firearms and live the politically correct life, the urban life, or whatever. And I don't mean to make fun of you urban folks. A lot of you live in big cities, and you're a firearms enthusiast, right? But you know what I'm saying. You're less likely to have grown up with firearms if you do live downtown Chicago. Of course, parts of Chicago, you might be more likely to have had firearms experience, maybe on the wrong end, right? Anyway, I digress again. Back to the rallies. I'm not sure where we go from here. Of course, it's not up to me to decide. We've had a couple of rallies. The first one I thought was good, and I think it was good around the country. The second one, I think, probably had mixed reviews here and there. Maybe some states didn't even do it, and some states had small turnouts. It generally probably, I haven't gone around and seen all the videos on them. I know that I've seen 2 or 3. Saw the one in Atlanta and somewhere else. I don't know. Maybe it's New York. But there were some good ones, and but there was some, low attendance at some, and including Nashville wasn't that well attended. And I don't know. I think I told John that when this was over, we need to be careful now from here on out, in the future, what we promote in terms of these rallies and things. We want to, I think, make sure it's maybe better organized, and we know what we're getting into, and I don't know, just got to kind of look at it from my perspective and limited exposure or limited knowledge about how they all went. I'm thinking that we might want to have fewer of these, but have them better organized and have them better attended, or maybe less is more. Of course, these two came back to back. I realize that, and right now is when we need to make a showing. But I don't know. Your input is requested on this. Make your opinions known on this. Think about it yourselves, and in your state, your community, your channel, or however you communicate, Twitter, whatever you do mostly. Maybe you don't do much on your channel, but maybe you don't have a channel. I guess you get into YouTube somehow, though, right? Well, you don't have to have a channel, do you, to watch a video or listen to a video that's called a radio show, right? I forget about that. But anyway, what do you think? Let people know. You can post here, post anywhere. What do you think? We need more rallies, fewer rallies? Do they need to be better organized? Do they need to be less organized? I don't know. I see an opportunity for us, if we're not careful, to not put our best foot forward in public, right there on, display at our state capitals. That's the stage. That's a pretty big stage. If any media at all shows up, or if only YouTubers or people with cameras in the crowd, video, we're still getting exposure. I see. I know at ours in Nashville, we were not organized, but some folks kind of, I don't know, I guess headed it up, and there was just a lot of promotion of the for the Tennessee militias and things, and I don't know, and there were a lot of people kind of shaking their heads a little bit and rolling their eyes at some of that, including myself. And I don't know, you have the opportunity there for the possibility of we as the shooting community not putting our best foot forward, as I say. And I don't know, if the media's there, the old media, the network media is there, we could step in it a little bit. We could maybe not do ourselves any good. I don't know. On one hand, it's nice that it's not highly organized, and anybody who wants to can get up and speak. And then you got the opportunity there for anybody that wants to kind of elbow themselves to the front of the room and take charge. They can do that too. I don't know. What do you think about that? I was watching one of the state, the video, some of the footage on one of the state gatherings from the 8th, and I forgot where that was. Maybe it was Atlanta or somewhere in the South, and there's a lot of complaining about religion being too big a deal in the speeches, that kind of thing. Same old thing. It's whoever grabs the mic or whoever steps up, is going to be representing us for those 2 minutes or 10 minutes or however long they speak. Just stuff to be aware of. I don't know. That may be the way it ought to be, and it might be what we want to do. When they're highly organized and there's a organizing body, it's usually the politicians of state politicians or whatever. I don't know, or maybe the state firearms organization. Maybe that's a good role for them to organize if they were willing to do it. And you hate to have a gatekeeper or something like this, because it really is a grassroots effort. So maybe everybody should be able to just get up and say whatever they want and represent whatever faction of gun owners that are there. I don't know. It just, you get a kind of a skewed look at gun owners is, I guess, my concern in some ways. Don't know. Maybe somebody needs to draw up a template for these things. Maybe, I don't know, somebody's in charge of just kind of emceeing the thing, and anybody who wants to come up gets 2 minutes to speak. And in 2 minutes, how much damage can you do? No matter what what you have to say, I don't know. Just something to think about. I think the fact that, now if we were out in the woods somewhere, or we're at a gun show, we're at a shooting range or something, it obviously doesn't matter, but we are on stage at the state capitol. And just as, we've advised ourselves to, look decent and, get our signs right and get the spelling right on our signs and all that sort of thing, and be aware that the media is going to be there, well, it's, we might need to clean them up a little bit, or think about what we want to, how we want to present ourselves, and or what elements of our endeavor we just soon not showcase. I don't know. Don't mean to sound like an elitist. I just wonder if we need some guidelines that we set ourselves. And same old story. Who sets them? But just some things to think about if you got ideas about it. I know a lot of people, they keep asking on the internet, well, how come the NRA's not organizing all this? Where's the NRA? Are they doing this? Are they doing that? Not really, and maybe we don't want the NRA doing it. It is better in a lot of ways if it is a grassroots kind of thing. I don't know. Maybe maybe the state, I guess about every state has a firearms association. Maybe they are the ones who should take the bull by the horn and not rule these kinds of gatherings with a iron hand or anything, but I don't know, maybe just provide a microphone and some guidelines that we all agree on, and I don't know. Maybe it's not even necessary. I'm just looking for something to complain about. I don't have any major complaints, but just some things cross my mind. I know some people have not been extremely satisfied about some of the things that have happened at some of the state, meets here on the 8th, and I know there was less organization. So just some things to think about. If you have any ideas on that, throw them out there, especially towards people that can do something about it or have something to do with it. Don't know. Just kind of thinking out loud there, which is dangerous for me. Speaking of firearms, I'll tell you something I thoroughly enjoyed this week, and that was getting out Springfield XDM 525 in 45 ACP. You've seen it. We had not done a chapter 2 with that firearm. In fact, I had almost forgotten about it, back there in the safe, and it just occurred to me one day. I don't know, heard somebody talking about Springfields or something. I miss shooting those 5.25s. I've got it in 9mm and in 45. And I tend to, my go-to guns seem to be the Glocks, I have to admit. But man, those things shoot great. And I said, John, you know what? We've got a bunch of, I ordered, ammo's kind of a premium these days, isn't it? But I'd ordered some 45, I don't know, a month or so ago, and it came in, it was 185 grain, Lawman. I don't know, I guess I just made a mistake. Just clicked on the wrong ammo box, I suppose, but I had about 500 rounds of it I'd ordered, and so I think I asked 10 Outdoors 9 if he shot that weight, and maybe somebody else, if they wanted to trade or even buy it or something. But I'm glad I didn't sell it now, because that was before the big crash, the ammo crash. So I got to thinking, well, that thing has adjustable rear sights. I could probably do just fine with that. I could just take some of it out there and zero it in, get the rear sight adjusted for elevation properly, thinking it would have a different point of impact probably, and just shoot it through that thing. And we haven't done a video with that forever, haven't done a chapter 2, so that's what we did, except I didn't have to adjust the sights. It just shot right on. I couldn't tell any difference much. I'd have to shoot some 230 grain to compare, but I just took the 185 stuff out there and it seemed to shoot right on. So I dumped a bunch of it out in the pan, and we just had fun knocking animals around and the gong and just everything. That gun it's hard to miss with. It really is. I think I pointed that out when I was shooting those in earlier videos, especially the 9mm. You get to shooting that thing and you just can't quit, can't miss, and can't quit. I guess I'll have to look at those videos again. I'm sure I missed a lot, but oh man, that is a sweet gun. If you're looking for something and you're not a Glock fan, just something for the range, and well, you could carry it, I guess, and be a fine bedside gun. Big old 45, has the that really visible high-vis front sight on it, and just is a dream to shoot. It has a good trigger. Holds, what does it hold? 13, I guess, plus 1. Saves reliable. I've never had any problems with it, and they're just like a Glock, easy to take down and clean, not a problem. So, good old Springfield. They're fine pistols. But I had a great time with that. That was a lot of fun. Got the Red Hawk out as well, and shot it some more. So for you revolver fans that enjoy a good old Ruger or a good old 44 Magnum, it's hard to beat, isn't it? A reminder that I think I'm a little wary that people have maybe backed off a little bit. Hopefully not. Hopefully I'm I'm wrong on our aggressiveness here with the bills being proposed and everything. Obviously, it's going to be difficult for politicians to ban our firearms. Okay, I think we knew that from the beginning, and we pushed back to the point. Everybody who has a dog in this fight, to the point where I think they realize that's just about undoable to ban our firearms. Now, in general, now they could still make some progress with certain firearms, and they could make progress with magazine capacity. Things we know are not the issue, and they definitely could have us moving towards registration, and we know how that ultimately ends up, whether it's 10 years or 50 years confiscation. So we cannot let up. We have shown that we are a force to be reckoned with. We are not going to lie down, but it still is a game of numbers. It really is. It doesn't matter. I mean, you and I, we travel in circles of people, probably most of the time, who are firearms enthusiasts and shooters, and so if we're not careful, we can be just like those people in their little bubble, anti-gun bubble, and no one they know owns a gun, and they just think they're horrible. They can't imagine anybody enjoying a firearm because they don't even know anybody that owns a firearm. Well, we can be on the other end of that, and if we're not careful, I think that this battle is won because, we don't know anybody in our circle of friends or that we encounter, generally speaking, think this makes any sense. Yeah, there's millions out there that think those controls make a lot of sense, and they are calling and writing the representatives just as we are. So if we let up, we're doomed to failure, as you know. So probably if you're listening to this, you're more likely to be remaining active, and you need to make sure all your friends are. We cannot let up, and we have to actually do it, not just talk about it. Those letters, I know, because I do it, and you get those form letters back, I've heard people say that, well, Rose, all I got was this form letter back, and this is BS, and politically correct statement about. But hey, that doesn't matter. What do you expect? They're going to write 1 million people a personal letter, or 500,000, or 10,000, or 1,000? Sit down and write 1,000 personal letters back? They're not going to do that. They don't have time to do that. They have to have a form letter, just like you or I would, for the most part. But it's going into the tally. You don't tell me they're not keeping a tally of how many pro-gun communications they get versus anti-gun communications. And they may have it broken down by more specific topics, but they're keeping a record of that. If you were a politician, wouldn't you? So they know it's a lot of it is just the numbers. It really is. If they're not hearing from us as often as they're hearing from the other voters who are anti-gun, guess what? It doesn't matter how fervent we are, or how logical we are, how smart we are, or how much in the right we are, because we have the Constitution behind us. Hey, there's politicians just don't care, and they want to get reelected, and we've got to use that. Of course, that's our leverage too, if we use it. So we cannot let up. We don't want any restrictions. I mean, if it was going to make a difference, it'd be another story, right? But we know it's just not logical. Not logical at all. So we don't want to be scrounging around for magazines and having those kinds of problems again, like we did back in the 90s, 94 to 2004, or even worse. And we don't really want registration. I mean, obviously, I don't want a firearm in the hand of a crazy man. That any sane person, sensible, sane person, thinks that way. But we also don't want to risk the Republic. We don't want to risk the Constitution. So we got to look hard at all that. We just don't want any more gun laws. It's that simple. We need security in places. We need to get rid of the gun-free zones. I know I'm preaching to the choir. You know what we need. We need to get rid of these gun-free zones, because they're not gun-free zones, are they? Duh. If they were really gun-free zones, nobody would be getting killed in these gun-free zones. I just love the concept of gun-free zones. It's almost like, we have a lot of ticks in Tennessee, and it'd be like my declaring a certain hillside on the compound here a tick-free hillside, tick-free ridge, So dogs, cats, you go over there and lie down. You don't have to worry about ticks, no problem. Ticks are going to obey and stay away from there or something. It's just crazy, just crazy. Of course, I work in a gun-free zone, so I have some experience. I guess I could be more outspoken about that kind of thing. It's common knowledge, that how stupid it is. And most of the people who even work in gun-free zones, or they're in charge of gun-free zones, in a lot of cases, probably know that. In Tennessee, for example, a school is a gun-free zone, and it's not because necessarily, it probably is in some cases, a lot of cases, I guess, knowing educators, the way I know educators, but it's state law. It's not the fact that the principal decided at that school, or the superintendent, that we are going to declare our schools gun-free zones for everybody, students and teachers alike. There was never any declaration to that effect. It's just state law. They don't have a choice. Where I teach, if every administrator decided they wanted to do something differently there, and in terms of security with teachers or administrators, they couldn't do it. Could not do it legally. So it's the laws that have to be changed, and in some states it is legal. So something is being done in some states. So there we go again. That's another point we need to be hitting when we write, our state representatives. Maybe get that changed within the state, and then the schools can do something about it, and then pressure on school boards and even private schools and just everything. We need to eradicate every last gun-free zone that exists. I can't think of a gun-free zone that makes any sense, unless maybe it is truly a gun-free zone, and there's no doubt about it, it's going to be a gun-free zone. Go into the Capitol building or somewhere where there are some serious guards. There are serious guards, and there are metal detectors, and no one gets into that building with a firearm. No one can even try to get in there, even if someone made a valiant effort. 2 or 3 someones, they would not get past the guards. Okay? Then, all right, maybe you've got a gun-free zone that works. I have to rethink that one maybe too, but just off the top of my head, because it's so hard to have a gun-free zone. If you got some guy, 75 going on 90, sitting there in a chair half asleep, he's got his revolver strapped on, he bought back in 1965, and hadn't had it out of the holster in 2 years, he's sitting there by the metal detector you got to walk through. Yeah, even that. Maybe that's better than nothing, but how much work's that going to take to get past? So I don't know what the answer is, but I know that if there were people within those gun-free zones who had a little bit of training even, then it just makes a world of difference. And that old argument for training, I think I've talked about. If you got some psycho going in somewhere thinking he can just have his way and kill 50 people, just knowing everybody's unarmed, it doesn't take a Navy SEAL to counter that. It just doesn't. Just anybody with a firearm would be very welcome, right, in a situation like that. Anybody As I've said before, if I was in that theater in Colorado, I don't care who it is. Somebody's shooting back at that idiot. It doesn't matter if they know one end of the gun from the other. Shoot the thing at him. It's going to get him discombobulated. He's probably going to go ahead and commit suicide right away. He doesn't know who's shooting at him, and the game's up for him, you know. So you know what they want to do. They just want to kill as many people they can before they kill themselves, generally. And they don't want to risk surviving it. So, you know, it's just one of maybe the only situation like that where minimal training and skills could be extremely effective. You know, just because of the unique nature of that. So, obviously training's better. But, wow, I still say most of the training needs to be in the area of safety. For example, if you have a system where you do have armed teachers and that kind of thing, and there's, you know, a lot of kids around, that sort of thing, you know, even adults can be dorks and can, you know, make mistakes. So much of that training, along with some shooting training, I think needs to be, of course, securing that firearm. However that's going to happen, whether it's a lockbox or it's in a holster, that person needs to really be competent and know what he or she is doing, and so they can just go about their daily business and not think about it, just like you or I do. Packing all day long is just not an issue, but if we have to you know, go for it, there it is. We know exactly where it is and what to do. So anyway, these gun-free zones just make you want to scream, don't they? And the sad thing is, you know, probably almost every school system has had meetings about this and talked about the security in their system and their schools, and they think they've got the bases covered. They may have had the police come in and advise them on how to get the police there quickly and get the calls made quickly and all these sorts of things. So they feel really good right now. But somebody shows up in a building and starts shooting, it's still 2 minutes, 3 minutes, whatever it is, maybe 10, before an armed person can get there and try to do something about it. How long does it take to shoot a group of unarmed people? 20 seconds, 30 seconds? You know, that's the sad thing. It's just feel-good meetings, feel-good policy that is going to be worthless. And we're going to find out probably, right? Sadly enough. You know, you hate to even think about it, but it will probably happen. You know, sometime this spring, somewhere, probably. You know, those kinds of things just, they pop up. There's a madman somewhere sitting right now, probably coming up with some plan. There's some crazy person who maybe is not quite crazy enough yet, but is getting there. You know, he's on the psychotropic drugs or whatever, and is going to be off of them, and is going to start acting strange, and who knows what the cause will be. But yeah, it's just going to happen. I mean, we know that there's going to be some kind of shooting in a gun-free zone probably within the next 6 months. Now, how's that for a prediction? You know, that's a pretty safe prediction, right? So the question is, right now in that gun-free zone, as I speak, what's being done? Who is in that gun-free zone right now? What's the plan to do something about it in the first seconds when evil presents itself? Really, what's the plan? Are you in one of those zones? Do you work in one of those zones? Are you in charge of one of those zones? Are you responsible for it being a gun-free zone? Probably not, if you're listening to this, but you know, there's some responsibility if if that happens in your gun-free zone and you've not done anything concrete, anything real, substantial to mitigate the damage, the injury, the circumstances. You can't stop it. You can't prevent death. You just can't. That's just the nature of the world. But you can limit it. There are ways to limit it. I was talking with a local deputy here, stopped by, showing me a firearm just yesterday, I guess, Saturday or Sunday, I guess, and we were talking about that, how even if a police officer's in the building, maybe even next door, people are going to be killed. That you just can't stop it totally, but you can prevent 50 people from being killed, maybe, or 100 people, or 15, and so whatever you can do, that person who does not get killed could be your son or daughter, right? Somebody's son or daughter, and whatever it is that you save, if it's 3, if it's 5, those are big lives, just like all of our lives are big and important. So I don't know. Could talk about that a long time, couldn't we? It's just common sense, and I guess that's the problem. Common sense doesn't show its face too often, does it? Okay, I don't want to talk about all those horrible things too much. We can't ignore it though, and it's come to our front porch, hasn't it? The proposals, the laws, the tragedies, and they have tried to slap us in the face with it, and we're just not having any of it. That's what it comes down to. Just not having any of it. But it's a crazy world, and it can never be a totally safe world. It's just that simple. One thing I was going to talk about briefly is, if I can do anything briefly, right, was, I don't know, speaking of safety and those sorts of things, if you're relatively new to firearms, and we've got some ideas, we need to do some videos, some more safety videos and things. There are so many people getting into firearms now for the first time. If you're one of those people, and you have stumbled upon us already, and even though you're relatively new to firearms, there are some things you want to make sure you're doing, and hopefully you've already been advised. You may have figured it out on your own, but there are just a lot of wonderful products out there, and of course it all comes down to your own common sense, doesn't it? If you have children, you're in an environment where you need to really be careful about leaving guns. Well, you never want to leave them really unattended, but you want them safe, and the lock boxes, the safes, the products that are out there. I'm still amazed at the people who are not familiar with the little lock boxes, like for pistols, handguns. And I guess if you're just new to guns, you haven't been in many gun shops or browsed the vendors very much. There are so many little boxes where you just work a finger combination that you can be into it in just a matter of seconds. You can have a loaded gun in there and just work the combination very quickly, push a few buttons, and bang, there it is. Yet, it's totally safe around anybody, children, whoever. Things like that. You just want to be very, very careful. And know your ammunition. Be careful buying reloads at gun shows. The rule of thumb is not to shoot hand loads unless you loaded them yourself. That's the rule of thumb that a lot of us hand loaders use. And just try to buy good ammunition. Double check the caliber. You're using the right ammo for the right gun. You're cleaning the gun properly. You're not leaving too much lube in it to collect dust, back in the action, to collect grit and hang it up. That you are cleaning it. It's just things like that. Just be smart about it if you're really new to firearms. Guns are really durable. You just want to make sure they don't rust on you. You just take good care of the finish. Just wipe it down. I use Ballistol, but there's lots of good oils and preservatives out there. And I've always tried to keep a rag just dampened with whatever my favorite lube is, or oil, not soaked, just dampened with that, and then wipe down the firearm before I put it away. and I never get any rust or anything, and it works really well. Now you don't need to wipe down the polymer, I'm talking about the metal parts mainly, and just keep it lubed well, and always check the barrel before you shoot the thing, and make sure you got to put it back together properly, it's functioning right, and then just double and triple think everything. That's the main thing. Just be in slow motion when you're messing with that firearm. Take your time with it. Don't ever get in a hurry. You take it out of the bag at the range. Just double and triple check that thing. Make sure there's nothing in it. Even when you know, quote unquote, that it's not loaded, check it again. And keep the muzzle down range. Don't ever point that muzzle at anybody, anytime. And don't have your finger on the trigger at any time unless you're ready to fire it. Just some of the basic rules of gun safety. And by not trying to move around too quickly, that helps with all of those. It's been my experience. Go into slow motion. I've talked about this before. When I used to shoot a lot of IPSC, I was a range officer also. I'd work as a range officer and shoot it also. And I always was a little nervous. I don't care who it was, a master class shooter or a class shooter, whoever it was, or a D class shooter. When they get to the end of the stage, you have to show clear, empty the gun, show clear, pull the trigger, and put it in your holster. All that on the command of the range officer. And there was always a guy or two that, oh man, they're trying to shoot the stage as fast as they can, as we all are. But then it was as if they got bonus points for how quickly they cleared their gun and stuck it in the holster. And I would intentionally just give those commands more slowly, to slow them down. And if I wasn't sure I got a good look at that chamber, I'd say, I need to look at that again. They just don't gain anything by going in fast motion. That's makes it more likely that something's not right. So just move guns around slowly. And double check, triple check, just over and over. People ask me why I'm always working the action and pulling the triggers so much on the range at the shooting table. And that's all part of just confirming for myself and you that gun is not loaded. Now, I know I overdo it sometimes. And there is another element there I've not talked about. If you think about it, what you're doing on the range when you're shooting, you are confirming for your own self and your own mind, and you're overdoing it, which is what you ought to do. I do that. You double. Everything is doubled. You're really making sure the gun's not loaded when you think it's not loaded. You're checking it twice. You're checking it 3 times. You lay the gun down, pick it up, you check it again. You're overdoing it. You're exaggerating safety, as I say, for yourself and for everybody else. And you talking to a friend, you've got the gun in your hand pointed down range, your friend asks you a question, and you know how that is. Did I load that gun? You got to talking to your buddy. You weren't being unsafe with the gun. Finger off the trigger. You still had it in your hand, maybe pointing down range. Maybe you're resting kind of on the table. I don't know what situation might be, but you got distracted, however briefly, talking with somebody, or just thinking about something else. Do I have a round in the chamber, or did I put what ammo did I put in here? Just double check it. Don't. That's the most important thing about it all is the safety there, and not getting in a hurry. And so you're reconfirming for yourself what's in the gun, or whether there's anything in the pistol or revolver. Well, if you think about it, when I'm doing a video, I've got lots of things I'm thinking about. I'm pretty relaxed, and as I was saying earlier, I'm not putting on a show and not too worried about getting tongue twisted or that kind of thing. Y'all are very forgiving. It's a live show. We don't edit much at all and that sort of thing. So I can be relaxed. However, I am aware the camera's on, and I want the video to go the way I want it to go. And so I'm thinking about different things. Obviously, I know that's hard to imagine, but I am. And so I probably work the action more than I normally would, just confirming for myself. That's the thing I can never slack up on, making sure I know what's going on with the gun, double, triple checking it. And so I probably overdo that because I am thinking about other things. I'm thinking about what we're going to do next with the video. Should I load again? Should I shoot some more? Am I going too long? Do we need to shoot a few more shots to demonstrate the firearm? There's targets left up. Do I need to knock those down? Is the video at 25 minutes? Did we pretty much hit the limit here? Or just stuff I'm thinking about. What have I forgotten to tell them about this firearm? Because I rarely have any notes or anything out. So I've got all those things in my head in addition to, the shooting and being safe with the firearm. So I probably overdo it. And that's, I think, the reason that I do, even more so than when I'm on the range by myself. So just in case you ever wondered that. Well, I guess I've yacked at you about enough for this go-around. It's almost the middle of February. I tell you, I'm surely looking forward to spring. Getting some quality time on my Harley, some nice weather, and can't complain though. We've had a few decent days here where we weren't actually freezing in terms of videos, but of course we could have another, 5-6 weeks. Sometimes we get harsh weather right up into middle of March, and even after that, you just never know. But looking forward to some good weather. We'll get some specific firearms out, do some more cleaning videos that you've been asking for, and that's hard to do, hard to get excited about doing, when it's 40 degrees or 35 degrees. But like I say, we've had some decent weather, and enjoyed doing some of the videos that we've done. Got a few we've had out there. We'll get up, and I'm anxious to do some more shotgunning. Tell you the truth, I am so bad. I could do a shotgun video every week. I just love slinging big lead, and oh man, I need to get the Colt Single Actions out again too. Going to get to some more cap and ball action this spring. The weather's nice, that's for certain. Got those two 51 Navies that you have seen briefly, and want to get those out and shoot those, give you a little history there on those babies, and just lots of things we're looking forward to doing. So hopefully, if the old cap and balls are not banned, we'll be able to even get those out, right? So we got to keep up the good fight and do not relax. We can never relax again, basically. We have seen the enemy. They have shown the face. The face is very clear. That's if nothing else has come of this that's good. It's I think we've activated a lot of people, and we have seen their true colors, what they really want to do. They have they've goofed up the other side. They have made it clear, and in any number of publications and excerpts you can find what they really want. They really want to ban all guns. They don't just dislike guns. They dislike us. They dislike gun owners. They dislike people who like guns. They think we're sick. They want to get that round count, that magazine count on down, not just down to 10. Look at New York, down to 7. And I think I heard somebody talking about Maryland was trying to get it down to 5. They don't want it down to 5, do they? They want it down to 3, 2, to 1, to none. So we know what the goals are. Feinstein has made that clear in her past. They want all guns taken up. That's what they want, and they will work to do that. So they can achieve more incrementally, just little steps at a time. They know that. So they're going to ask for big chunks of restrictions and get little chunks until that equals big chunks. So we've got to draw the line right here. And the only way you draw the line is by not talking tough, but by contacting representatives over and over again and making calls. That's the only tough talking that counts, really. That's it. Gathering at the state capitals and those sorts of things help some. Makes a good visual, and it shows that we're motivated, at least those that show up. But it comes down to the cards and letters side of things. That's what it comes down to. There's some pretty prominent people, in the firearms rights movement that have not really gotten involved with the rallies at all, because they think that's fine, but that's not where it counts. They're focusing more on the politicians directly contacting them and that kind of thing, and they're right, and they really are. We've got to be careful that we don't fall into that same trap and feel good, quote unquote, about what we're doing, but yet it be ineffective. Not that rallies are ineffective, but we could go to rallies every now and then and really feel like we're gung-ho and doing something, but if we're not writing, emailing, and calling our representatives and getting that tally up on our side, then we're not doing anything that really matters. It's that simple. So you know that, and I know that, and I have to discipline myself and make myself do it as easy as it is to do now, electronically. Make sure that I do it every week. And again, don't worry about the letters you get back. That's what you're going to get back. You're not going to get a personal handwritten letter on parchment. That's not going to happen. I get anything back, I'm just glad that confirms for me they got my message. So I love to see it, whatever it says. Whatever it says, I know that one is tallied, okay, in the correct column. So anyway, keep up the good work, and it's a constitutional fight that we're involved in while we enjoy the sport and the hobby and the right to defend ourselves. So we've got two things going. We want to do both. Hopefully you're doing both, And I think it's, I used to work for a guy, had a motto, he used to have it on the wall. He was actually an administrator. Used it on kids. Work, earn, play. There's three words, You got to do your work, and then that earns you the right to play. Play was third. That comes last. And so that's kind of where we are. We've got to do the work and earn the right to play, with our firearms. And unfortunately, even the right to bear them for protection, right? But then the play too, of course, we have to earn it, and it's been that way, And I think now the difference is there are more people who realize it, and more people are doing the work. So and that's what it takes. Again, I know there are lots of good gun organizations. You got to belong to some of them. The NRA is kind of the barometer. It's the measuring stick out there. And when there's 4,000 or 5,000 members out of over 100,000 gun owners, that tells us, there aren't 90 or 100,000 people who hate the NRA. There are some people who do, but they're not that many. They're just people being lazy and being slackers, That's what it comes down to. So we get the ownership or the membership up in the NRA and the Gun Owners of America and the Second Amendment Foundation and your state organizations up to 50 million and 75 million. Okay, it's all right if we got 25 or 30 million slackers. If we've got 50 or 75 million people carrying the load, that's probably enough. So let's get those numbers up, and again, let's enjoy the sport. And I know that you are, because I know I am, and I enjoy it almost every day in some way. So even being out here amongst the ambience, I'm looking at a big pile of 9mm brass. Here's I wanted to put a 75 caliber ball for the Brown Bess is lying there in the midst of, and there's a 58 caliber musket ball. Oh man, there's some 300 blackout. There's some 357 Magnum brass in a bag. Here's some clips for the Enfield 303 British Enfield. Oh man, what else? Oh, here's a clip with 5 rounds in it, and here's a box of 3040 Krag. Yep, 3040 Krag. There's some more. Nope, that's 9mm. Ooh, that's like gold. And here's a box of 308. Yes, big old 308. Oh man, it's just nirvana. Anyway, I'll shut up, let you get back to work, get back to sleep, and it's been good yakking with you. I enjoy these little chats we have. I just wish you weren't so quiet. I can't get you to talk. Maybe another time. So, enjoy yourself. Have a great week. Do something for the cause, and then also do something fun with firearms if you get a chance. Life is good. You've been listening to the Hickok45 radio show. See you on the range.